Thank you very much, and I too would just say I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today, and you all do have an active organization. When you walk the halls on Monday evening when we're in Annapolis, you're in people's offices as well as being highly visible there on the House floor and on the Senate chambers. So thank you. I also would say that you are the most active organization in Annapolis on a regular basis. I just want to share a little bit about the budget, the good news about the budget, the bad news about the budget, and then a little bit about some wins and the activity of the Republican caucus. I serve in the House Appropriations Committee, and I also serve as the House Caucus Chair, the Republican caucus. And one of the things that we have wanted to do over the past 8 years was to develop reasonable alternatives. If we are going to be a party of vision, we have to put that vision forward. And this year, we can't just keep throwing barbs. We have to have substance to it. So we took the time over the past 4 years to be able to develop with the Republican caucus an opportunity to understand the budget process. We then were able to put forth an alternative budget that would have reduced it more than it came out to be. Now, we hope that the other side would have picked up on some of our initiatives, because we think that you need to be doing reform, serious budget reform, and restructuring of existing programs instead of creating alternate programs around those programs. And what happens when you create alternatives around, instead of really doing the reform and I guess the surgery that may need to be done, you know, look at programs that are working, eliminate those and create new ones. No, they leave existing programs, don't fund them, and then fund something else. And then it makes it really confusing to the local jurisdictions because they don't know how to do business, and sometimes when that's done from the top level, it doesn't fit down on the front lines. And we've seen that whether it takes place with our local management boards, Department of Social Services, or with health reform. All of those are examples of that. The budget was reduced a little bit. We had a $32 billion budget with $14.9 billion of general funds. After 11 weeks of intense deliberation in our committee, the budget was reduced. The governor brings the budget in, and then we have to reduce it. We reduced it by $11 million, 11.7. Now think about that, out of the $14.9 billion. The governor then turned around and came in with a supplemental budget that was $12 million more. So do the math. 11.7 from 12 is what? Yeah. So we wound up with the budget that was more than when the governor originally brought it in. Now, if that's being economically responsible and fiscally responsible, I tend to disagree with that. It was rob Peter to pay Paul. Let's take all of the little kitties, the little budget funds that are out there, and take that money, whether it's from the locals or from this department or from that department, or maybe it's capital funds, take that so that we can balance the general fund, have enough in the general fund, and then guess what? You leave big gaping holes in the capital budget. Which means then, well, that's not a problem. We'll just increase the capital debt. Well, if you increase the capital debt, what happens? You have to pay the debt service. Try to get a handle on the debt service. We worked for weeks just to find out what that debt service was, and to be able to know if we had enough revenue in the budget to pay the debt service, which is being eroded as we speak. The budget comes in balanced, but usually as soon as we leave session, the budget is unbalanced again. We balance that budget, that is all of us together, both parties, if you voted for the budget, which a lot of us didn't, was balanced on the backs of federal monies. The federal monies may not materialize. So then we may have to rob some other resources, like some of the local income tax funds that are sitting there that haven't been touched, that are really available for counties to use. So the saga goes on. You know, we had $1 billion deficit, now we have more than $1 billion deficit. We raised taxes to be able to address that, and that didn't work, so now we use the federal monies. So we will go back into this next session with additional deficit. And as Delegate Hathaway said, it sets the stage for a massive tax increase. And that's what we were concerned about, because we believe that you don't grow government to deal with the recession. And that is clearly what the other side believes is important. Growing government is the way to put people back to work. And that is not the way to put people back to work. You need to be able to activate small business, be able to energize and give opportunities for small business. I went to an economic development conference a couple of weeks ago, and they said, well, there are a couple of things that you need to do to help business. Many businesses are going south because they have right-to-work states there. We do not have right-to-work here. If anything, we have more and more union activity because they're the folks who are very much tightly associated with the governor at this point in time and are pushing a lot of the initiatives like shift breaks and unemployment insurance for part-time people, if you look at that. Well, this person said if we could do a pilot, which he didn't think the governor would do a pilot and take some counties and give them the opportunity to be right-to-work counties and let other counties be union counties, and then figure out what the significant difference is, because he believed that there is no statistical information that supports that right-to-work is any better than non-right-to-work states. He also suggested that maybe we need to look at the tax burden on businesses. When all was said and done, and this was a business community who all agreed with that, and when all was said and done, I think the department came in and the administration came in and said, business perceives that this is an anti-business climate. But we're all about jobs, jobs, jobs. Well, I would tell you, if you don't have business, you can't have jobs. And I think we're going to see some difficult times ahead. The good news, real quickly, we did have some breaks for nurse practitioners so that they can go ahead and do business in the state of Maryland. We were able to put some more resources in as an income tax checkoff for disabilities, and we were able to say that those individuals who work in community providers, community agencies, would get a raise if and when state employees do, because as we downsize and with the closure of Upper Shore Community Mental Health Center and we look for resources in the community, if you don't adequately compensate people who take care of our most vulnerable citizens, you're not going to be able to maintain folks with adequate services in the community. So they were some of the highlights that was good news. But we were able as a caucus to put forth a reasonable budget. We didn't get much of it taken, so we could do true collaborative planning, but we will continue to do that. So I look forward to your questions. Thank you.